Hi everyone, it's Jai452 back again inside the land of cosplay, rummaging around and seeing what we can find on Inside Cosplay. Joining me this week is my very special guest, the one and only Heir Cosplay. Hi Heir, how are you?
Hey, how you doing? Not too bad.
Awesome. So we're just going to jump right into the thick of things, and I'm going to ask you, when did you first start cosplaying?
Well, I first started cosplaying about 4 or 5 years ago, when my ex-girlfriend at the time brought me to my first convention, which was Toronto Fan Expo. And yeah, I wore the really crappy Batman suit that got made by a friend. It had like this giant seam up the center. It was pretty bad. And after meeting some of the people and everything, I fell in love with it. It's great.
Awesome. You mentioned there your first costume was Batman. Is that something that you still have to this day as a reminder of what you started off with and how far you've come since then?
Sadly, no. I went to a Halloween party a couple years ago where a friend of mine, she was dressed as Red She-Hulk and did the body paint and everything. So when I went to go give her a hug hello, the paint transferred into the fibers and I basically had a gray and red Batman suit instead of just gray. So no, sadly I don't still have it, but I wish I did.
There's like, just right there guys, there's a little handy tip for cosplayers. If you are at a convention and you notice one of your friends and they're wearing body paint, do not immediately run up to hug them.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Unless you're also wearing body paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's a possible.
Even then though, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, just be like, yo, friend, I know you.
Yeah.
And you know me. What inspired you to get into cosplay?
Well, as a small child, I fell in love with Halloween and just the concept of being able to pretend to be somebody else for a night. And when I learned that there was an outlet for like adults to do it too, not just at Halloween, I just, I was like right there.
Awesome. Is there any particular cosplayers that you follow that inspire you?
One of the cosplayers that I follow that inspires me as a Nightwing cosplayer is definitely Dynamite Weber, who lives in the States. I don't know exactly where, but yeah, his suits always come out amazing in my opinion. And yeah, some other ones are Rogue Benjamin, Northern Belle Rogue from Toronto as well. She's a fantastic cosplayer. She also has a YouTube channel up under the same name. She's great. She does a lot of great stuff.
It might interest you to know that I have tried to get in contact with Dynamite Weber.
Oh, really?
So we might get an interview with him at some point, guys. I'm not promising anything, because all these people are extremely busy people and very difficult to get a hold of. But you never know. He might turn around and say, hey, I will more than happily do an interview with you.
Maybe.
Could happen.
Keep trying.
Yep. Gotta persevere.
Yep.
So you mentioned there was it Western Rogue?
Northern Belle Rogue.
Northern Belle Rogue, and that she has her own YouTube channel. Is it exclusively Rogue that she does, or does she do other cosplays?
Oh no. She has a multitude of other characters that she does, but the one that I guess she would be most recognizable for would be Rogue, because she actually has the white streak in her hair. So
awesome. Yeah. Is there any other people that inspire you?
Other people that inspire me. Well, it's hard to say. I mean, like, so many different cosplayers do so many different types of cosplay, whether it be like armor and or fabric or body paint or what have you. And sometimes it's really hard to narrow down who who it definitely is that inspires me, but I am inspired by a vast number of cosplayers, very talented, and also just as people themselves, they're fantastic people.
Okay. So my next question for you is, what has been the most challenging cosplay that you have ever done to date, both from the making of the costume and the acting side? Now, to define the acting side just a little bit, because the making of the costume is pretty standard, that can be like how a character moves, how they might speak, how they might pose, how they interact with the general public, or just generally how they hold themselves. So let's talk about the side of the costume making first. Like, to date, what has been the most challenging cosplay that you've ever made?
Well, I'm still pretty new. I'm perfectly honest. I'm still pretty new at the whole making my own costume things. Like, I've commissioned people to either make the really challenging ones, like my red Nightwing suit. But currently, I'm working on a Mortal Kombat X Scorpion cosplay, and it definitely has been the most challenging for me because I don't own a sewing machine at the moment, so I've basically been sewing it by hand. So, so yeah, that's been pretty challenging. But in terms of making things, I don't know. I guess the most challenging would be for me at this point would be to find the things just around my house that I could use to put it together to make a good enough costume, whether it be clothes or hats and altering them, or like doing little things here and there. But yeah, I would definitely say right now Scorpion, once it is finished, will be the most challenging costume I've made.
I can sympathize with that because I also don't have a sewing machine at this particular moment in time. And I remember I had to try and make Harley Quinn like wrist cuffs.
Yeah.
And having to sew that by hand wasn't the challenging part.
Yeah.
It was when somebody pointed out to me that a piece of the fabric that I used, I stitched it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And they were like, "That's wrong," and I'm like, "No, it's not. It's stitched in the right way." I noticed that they said that I'd stitched it in the wrong way, and I was like, no, I've not stitched it in the wrong way. And then they pointed it out, and they even circled it and sent me the picture on Facebook and said, "That isn't the right way. It's not the same as the other one." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? This isn't funny."
Wow.
But that didn't take me long to fix, and I can understand if you're having to hand stitch a costume together, how annoying it might be when somebody points something like that out to you, and you're like, that was a day's worth of work that you've just basically told me was wrong. You person.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so Scorpion being the most challenging from your making of the costume, who has been your most challenging from the acting standpoint so far?
I think it would have to be Spider-Man Noir from the Spider-Verse series, simply because I'm more used to how Spidey is naturally, like a little more charismatic and and talkative and stuff like that, whereas Spider-Man Noir doesn't really have the same sense of the Peter from the normal universe. So yeah, it was kind of difficult to get into that mindset a little bit, but I think but in terms of like, if I were to switch that question and say like who is it easiest to fall into character with, it would definitely have to be Nightwing, because me and him share a lot of similar personality traits already, and and quirks and things. So yeah, it's basically just being me in a different suit.
I can totally grasp that concept, and the reason I always ask people that is I had major issues trying to fit into Poison Ivy's personality standpoint.
Yeah.
Because I did a gender bent Poison Ivy a while back, and gender bents, just to clarify something for people who might not know, it's not necessarily the opposite gender dressing up as like a man or a woman. You're still retaining your masculinity if you're a guy dressing as a female character,
Right.
or you're still retaining your feminineness if you're a female dressing as a male character.
Right.
And
It's funny you mention that, actually, because a lot of the times when I go to conventions in Toronto, there's one cosplayer who consistently does like Sailor Moon, and he's a big dude, and like he's got a full beard and like, you know, tattoos and stuff, and like every time I see him, I'm just like, yes, man, go you.
So that is what it's about. But I knew that I have quite feminine features already. You know, like I constantly get mistaken for a female, even when people see me in person, and it's like,
Right.
is that a compliment or an insult? You know? And I'll tell you something really funny. It's kind of slightly off topic, but I went to my local dentist to double check an appointment, and so the receptionist says to me, I just need to check what age you are, and I tell her my age, and she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you were that age. You're so handsome, you know. And I'm like, at least you didn't say I'm so beautiful, you know? Because I felt as if that was coming, which was kind of like a contradiction to what happened to me at an art museum when I needed to go to the bathroom. I went up to one of the people who was working there, and they said, the women's toilets is over there on the left-hand side. And I was like, that's really great, but where's the guys? You know, because legally I can't walk into a women's bathroom. I can't
go in there,
Yeah. And she's like, she then looks up at me and goes, oh, I'm so sorry. It's just, you're so beautiful. And I'm like, just like, unless you want me to be marking the floor with a puddle, point me in the direction of the bathroom. This is quite an urgent thing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, doing a gender bent character, I had an issue with obviously still retaining that masculinity, but at the same time I was trying to figure out, how do I be as charmingly seductive as Poison Ivy does, but still retain the fact that I'm male.
Right.
And that was the hardest thing for me to do, and I still to this day can't really figure that one out. So if I ever do Ivy again, which granted I'm never going to do it again in September over in the UK, because that's just asking for frostbite.
A little bit.
It's a character that I really need to sit down and figure out, how do you be flirtatious as that character but still retain the fact that you're male?
I think from a standpoint, from my own standpoint, I think if I were to do something like that, I would look into male characters that share the same kind of personality, because there are ones out there. You just have to look for them a little bit more.
The big thing that I was doing at that point was looking at a lot of times when, oddly enough, Nightwing was being flirtatious.
Yeah.
And kind of slightly basing it off of that, going, okay, I can be as flirtatious as this, but nothing above that. So I kind of need to slightly dial it back a little bit. But on the flip side, I found it really, really easy to do gender bent Harley Quinn, because I have so many personality traits that are similar to her, and it was just so easy to just go in and do that.
Right.
You know? Likewise with when I cosplayed as Elle from Death Note, it was so easy to just slip into that character. I just need to remember a point in time when I want to be left alone, and it's like, yes, I am this character. Um, okay, so a similar question to that one. In your opinion, what is the most difficult cosplay character or cosplay creature to cosplay as, both from the acting side and from the making of the costume? And let's put this in regards to both yourself, what you consider a challenge in your own right, and what you would consider a challenge for other people. So let's start with you. What do you consider something that's really, really challenging from the creation of a costume? What's something that you would go, I might need to develop a certain skill set in order to do that?
Well, for me personally, it would be when it comes to costumes and stuff like this. I'm a bit of a perfectionist.
As you are.
I would like if I can get the costume to be as close to the source material as possible, I'll be happy. But the fact of the matter is that doesn't always happen. So it's basically coming to terms with just, especially if it's your first try, just to do the best that you can, because if you're like, cosplay isn't like you make one and you're done. Like that's the only version of it you're gonna have. No, you're gonna tear it apart and make it again and do better each time, and like eventually, yeah, you'll get to that look that you're looking for. I personally need to work on a lot of different techniques and styles and ways of making things, because I also really love to learn new things. So like, working with Warbler, I really want to try working with, different kind of paint fabric or fabric paints and stuff like that, pup paint, I really want to try every different way to make a costume, because I also, I have plans for armored stuff, and I have plans for fabric stuff, and I have plans for this and that. So I'm really excited and looking forward to trying out the different ways of making a costume.
Awesome. In terms of fabric paints, I can definitely highly recommend them. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
They take, well, depending on which fabric paints you work with, like I worked with a set that takes at least, I think it's 12 to 14 hours to dry.
Right.
And that's just applying it onto your fabric. And then you have to iron it to lock in the colour. And even then, you still want to make sure that it's right in. But they come up amazingly well. I don't know whether I've got any pictures here that I can just very quickly show off, so that you guys can get an idea of what I'm talking about. This is me like quickly scrolling through my Instagram. There's a good one. Yeah, that's probably not going to work. Jai, why did you do that? You should have went into your gallery. Because going into the gallery is much, much easier. Alright, so I don't know whether you'll be able to see this or not, but...
Oh yeah.
Crap. Alright, so I'm going to quite kind of shield it. The little jacket that I've got on there, as well as the t-shirt itself, all done with fabric paint.
Nice.
And it just goes to show how well fabric paint will show up on various things.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic and easy to use if you know how to use it. I would highly recommend getting quite a bit of it, because you never know if you're going to run out of it, and that was a big fear of mine, running out of the fabric paint, because I only had 2 little sachets about this size, so I was like really scared about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
From an acting standpoint, what is something that you might go, I might need to take a little bit more time to develop how I would portray this character, or
It would
even research them?
it would definitely be a character that doesn't share many personality traits with me, because like if I can't relate to them on a like personal level, it makes it harder to make that connection. Um,
Would you say
also,
that?
just sorry.
Would you say that creature characters can be like that? Like, for
Oh, definitely.
instance,
Creature characters can be like that because you also have to keep in mind like how a creature moves. Like they don't move like us. So like in an acting standpoint, you have to not be human, for lack of a better phrase. But yeah, definitely.
because I know that you're a fan of Batman and all things Batman related, if I said to you, right, I've made this man-bat costume to fit you specifically, and I give you this to go to a con, would you be apprehensive of doing this character because it is a kind of creature type character and it doesn't really have an awful lot of human interaction other than a high-pitched scream?
Right. Actually, it'd be the opposite. If you were to give me a creature like Man-Bat or anyone like that, like I would be very excited about cosplaying that character. And then in the back of my mind, after I've accepted it, I'd be like, what are you gonna do? What do you mean you're gonna do this? You know? So like, but I would still like the excitement would overtake the background voice.
So would you then like pray to the cosplay gods that the convention that you'd be doing this at would be quite far off in the distance so that you have plenty of time to work out how you're going to act the character?
Basically, yes.
So unlike me, you just don't think, I have 3 weeks or so many weeks to learn how to do this character. I have very little source material to go off of.
Yeah.
I'll be all right on the night, kind of thing.
Yeah. It would also be a lot of like improv as well, because when I was back in high school, I took the drama classes and everything, so I do know how to act a little bit. Give me 1 second. My battery's about to die. I gotta plug it in.
We will pause right there, guys. So you were saying that you went to improv classes while you were in, was it college or university?
It was actually high school.
In high school, okay.
Yeah.
So do you think having a dramatic background prepares you for kind of situations like that?
It can definitely help, especially trying to convey like the character in a smooth way that people will recognize. Mm-hmm. And then the improv also comes in really well with like you mentioned, like creature cosplays and stuff like that, because it's very much more like animals are instinctual, so they don't like they have patterns and stuff, so like you just have to kind of work in a pattern that fits the animal archetype.
Awesome. Now, I got the opportunity to speak with you a little bit recently, and we kind of mentioned my next cosplay, which I remembered what the third item was, like, because I was telling you that I'd ordered a couple of things and I was hoping they would be here.
Yeah.
It was actually a bow tie.
Oh, okay.
And that's a very big hint, guys.
Yeah.
Bow ties, yes. Hints. But I actually have been trying to learn how to speak backwards for this cosplay as well.
Yeah.
And do you think if I didn't actually know some various parts on YouTube that will teach you that kind of thing, would you recommend me going to a drama class to maybe pick up a few helpful tips in that kind of area?
Well, drama class would like help you to embody the character and like teach you how to speak like them in terms of like accents or mannerisms and stuff like that. But in terms of this character's particular way of speaking, I think anyone that really wants to emulate that would be able to just write out the phrases and then write them backwards, and then just practice saying the sounds back to themselves, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it also couldn't hurt going to drama classes or even music classes for like your vocals and enunciation and stuff.
Is that something you would recommend to somebody who might come to you, who is relatively new to cosplaying and saying, I've got the costume absolutely perfect, but I'm not quite sure how to act the character? Is that something you would recommend by saying, well, you might want to consider doing a drama class here or there, or you might want to just consider how the character acts or study them in like active medias?
I would more probably lean towards the studying them in their active medias, like comic books or animated movies or Hollywood movies or whatever, because you've already got great source material right there to pick up who that character is. Like most of the mannerisms and stuff that Nightwing has that I don't have, I learned from like what he does in the comics, what he does in the animated films, stuff like that. Because you get more of a personal sense of who they are, because you're actually seeing them do them or be them, right? So it's a bit easier that way. But if you wanted to, you could also take classes.
What kind of helpful tips would you give to somebody who says, I've got this really amazing costume of the Joker, and they wanted to essentially become that Joker, but they have no defining character traits whatsoever, or they don't share any kind of similar character traits. So, like, I always tend to think of the Joker as a very loud individual.
Right.
Very, very loud, very, very in your face, very much there. And let's say somebody who is the total opposite of that, somebody who is very, very quiet, very to themselves, wouldn't say boo to a goose, is saying, I want to do the Joker. What advice would you give to that type of person?
I would tell them to get in the costume and look at themselves in the mirror for a little while, because from my perspective, there are a couple characters that I've played that when you're wearing the outfit, it helps a lot, because you can see yourself in that as that character, and it helps you to think like them, it helps you to speak like them or move like them, that kind of thing. And then also the same, just go look at the available medias of said character, and it should give you a pretty good idea of who they are and who you should be if you're emulating that.
Awesome. Now, let's say we've got the acting side down. Doesn't matter the cosplay, we've got the acting side completely to a T.
Yeah.
And then they come to you, same person possibly, and says to you, I want to make a Man-Bat costume. What hints, tips, advice can you give me on something like that? Because obviously this supposed person probably doesn't have the skill set to make a pair of expanding and contracting wings, but they would like to incorporate something like that into their cosplay. What would you advise them to do on that front?
I would probably advise them to try and find as many tutorial videos, because there are lots of people, like I myself have seen a few tutorial videos either on like Pinterest or YouTube or something, that give you more or less a step-by-step on how to like make a pair of, like, let's say angel wings. Well, you don't necessarily need angel wings, but you can use that basic structure or that they give you or whatever, show you, and alter it to fit a bat's wing. And then I would also, in terms of like making the wing itself, not necessarily like the structure of it, I would talk to cosplayers who have worked with certain fabrics that might look really good, or or also just go to other tutorials. you know.
Little interesting tip on that front, guys. Cosplayers are the absolute worst people for keeping secrets when it comes to making costumes. I mean, yes, we can keep secrets when it comes to like other things,
Yeah.
you know, but when it comes to actually making a costume, they are the worst people for keeping secrets. They will tell you everything, you know, which is a really good thing because you might come across a costume that you might think, well, how do I do this? Well,
Yeah.
what do I do?
Yeah.
I know that from the picture I showed you, I didn't know how to dye a synthetic wig, you know, and I learned that from YouTube. I learned what items I needed to do it. I learned how I do it, and how to get around certain issues if I have them. So it is true what we're saying here, guys. It's true that we literally do have many different ways to get around issues, and that we are the worst people for keeping secrets when it comes to cosplay.
Well, it's not necessarily that we're bad at keeping secrets about cosplay, but about cosplays. But like, if you have a pretty decent group of friends that also cosplay, like we like to help each other out with stuff. Like, I know I myself am part of a group called I think it's called the Legionaries now.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be called Legion of Heroes, but I think we changed the name to the Legionaries. And that is with my friends Scarlet Archer Cosplay and MZ Hyde Cosplay, I think is her handle. And it's basically a group where our first meeting was as the Rebirth Titans. So we had the whole cast of the Titans there. We even had a couple of Teen Titans, which was really nice. But like, the point of it was that we got all together, we pitched in for materials that we all needed, and like, we all got together one week or a couple weekends before con and just started crunching, out pieces of the cosplays that we still needed, So it's pretty cool feeling to know that for the most part, cosplayers will help other cosplayers to get the things done that they need.
I have to admit, like, I say that the cosplayers are bad for keeping secrets in terms of how they do a particular cosplay, which I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as very helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just on that front, guys, just to reiterate what Dark Air is saying, there are multiple different forums out there that if you are having an issue with a cosplay that you're trying to make, somebody somewhere else has probably tried to make if not the same cosplay, a similar cosplay that might be able to answer how you get around something, like if you are having a problem. Plus, they're there to help out as well. Like, just because they haven't necessarily made the same costume, they might say, well, here's something that might actually help.
Yeah, it's true.
Alright, so moving along, there are many different types of Comic-Cons which we can go to throughout the year. There's the big once-a-year ones that only happen once a year, like your New York Comic-Cons, your San Diego Comic-Cons, your London Film and Comic-Con ones, big ones that happen one time only. And then there are your smaller, well, not as large as like the really big ones, but still pretty big, that maybe happen every 4 or 5 months. And then you've got your really small intimate ones that are probably every weekend. So 3 different, very different types of Comic-Cons that we can go to throughout the year. Out of those 3, your big one, your medium one, and your small one, which do you prefer the most going to? Do you prefer the big one, medium, small, or do you like a blend of the 3? And if so, why?
I personally like the blend of the 3 because I love them all for vastly different reasons, and I love the big one. So for me, the big one is Toronto Fan Expo. It's usually at the end of August or beginning of September. Labor Day weekend, that area. And I love that one because like everyone shows up. So I get to see all of my friends. I get to see new faces that I've never met before that become friends. I get to see all of the really big stars that I want to see. I get to there's like so much more to do and to see. But I also like the smaller ones because it's like the excitement of the bigger one, but without so much hustle bustle, without so much of the hustling and and the crowd like so crowded that you can only like stand like this and stuff like that. But I also like the really small ones because, like you said, they're a little more intimate. It's not so rushed. It's even less rushed. It's even less crowded. You get to just like really hang out and just enjoy it. So yeah.
I'm gonna reference something here. Like the first Comic-Con I ever did was a relatively large once-a-year Comic-Con. And the year I went, Robert Englund was there.
Right.
So Freddy Krueger himself. And I think it was because he was there we got a lot more people there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't really move in that particular area because there was just so many people.
Yeah.
Like crammed into one tiny little area. But it gave me the taste of what a London film and Comic-Con would be like, because London's like the biggest city really close to me, and even then it's not even close to me. Edinburgh is actually closer to me than London, but it kind of gave me a taste of that, and I was like, so this is what the Comic-Cons are like over in the States. And then I kind of thought about it more, and I was like, actually there's more of a reputable size, and at those bigger cons, you really do get pushed on. Like, it's like you maybe bump into a friend of yours and you're like, oh, hi, I love your costume. You look great. Bye. Yeah. That is the length of the conversation, Whereas a medium-sized con, you might spend a little bit longer with them, where at a small con, you get to spend practically the entire day with your friends.
Exactly, yeah.
You probably end up saying, I really fucking hate you by the end of the day to your friend. Like, I've had so much of, I've had my fill of you, and I swear to God, if I see you in the next 4 hours. And saying that, I've never had that. Never ever had that with any of my friends. Can't say the same for them, though. So, do you also agree with me when I say that the bigger cons suffer from what I like to call a New York minute, which is kind of what I was saying about before, that it is just simply so quick. Doesn't matter what you do, it's in, out, done. Yeah,
that's actually a few of my friends and I have used that term to explain Fan Expo, because it is very much like that. We go in the Thursday and like everything's kind of slow or whatever for the first little bit, but then like it starts picking up pace, and before you know it's already Sunday, and you're just like, wow, what happened? And like, but that's also not to say like by Sunday we're also like dragging our feet and being like, I just want to go home.
See, I've never done a Comic-Con over like an entire weekend, but I have done it over 7 hours. Yeah. That's 7 hours plus travel.
Right.
And I'm traveling like possibly two hours maximum to get to cons.
Yeah.
So I can be very grouchy because I don't travel well. Like,
okay.
I suffer from motion sickness, and anybody who has motion sickness knows when you get off of a train or a bus or out of a car, you're the most grouchy thing ever.
Yeah.
Until you've caught your breath or until your stomach has caught up with you. So traveling 7 hours plus is enough for me. I just tend to think, okay, by the end of the day, I'm going to be even more grouchy than ever. Just leave me alone. So if you ever see me at a con, guys, and I look as if I'm about to punch somebody in the face, walk in the opposite direction. I kid. Or do I?
Mm.
Anywho, when you've been going to these events, what is the one thing, which I think you've already kind of slightly covered, the one thing that you're most excited for, and the one thing that is either used to or still kind of is on some level the most nerve-wracking for you? So let's start with the thing that you're most excited for when going to these events.
For me, it's definitely just pretending to be somebody else for a day. I get to step out of my life and hang out with my friends and be this really cool character, and it's fun for me.
Awesome. And the one thing that either used to or still kind of is on some level the most nerve-wracking?
I don't know. I guess it would be standing in line to see that one actor or that one voice actor or that one whoever that you'll just die for.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 years ago, I met Kevin Conroy, who has been an idol of mine for decades, and I got him to sign Volume 1 of Batman the Animated Series.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it, exactly like how I'm talking now is pretty much how I was talking to him. Like just the memory of having met him still makes me all weird.
Just an FYI, if I ever visit you in person and like I'm in your house, please watch me 24/7 because I will go hunting for that Batman animated series thing, and you will not have it because I will steal it.
Oh, you will have to pry it out of my cold dead hands. It's not going anywhere.
Have you ever had an instance where you've met a celebrity and you've made them laugh unexpectedly? Like a good humorous moment with them?
Oh, it would have to be Burt Ward.
Okay.
Going back to Batman. I think it was last Fan Expo, Burt Ward and Adam West were there together before Adam passed. Yeah. And I got Burt to sign a little commemorative tin thing and on the inside he said Zap Scott and then Burt Ward, right? Robin. But I mentioned to him how Batman and Robin was probably one of like my favorite superhero growing up, right? Superheroes. And I told him how much they had influenced me into who I am like today and stuff, and like he just kind of started laughing, and he's just like, I'm really glad that like the character I played really resonated with you, and like, because if you're going to emulate anybody in terms of like who to be, like Batman and Robin are pretty good role models. So
they are.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to have that little thing.
So I have two instances I can tell you about, and they both happen at the same con, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'm at this con this 1 year as Poison Ivy, the gender bent version.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people there. There was James Masters, who played Spike on Buffy.
Nice.
Which my bus buddy, as I call her, she got to meet him. And the poor thing, she was just so, like, shell-shocked after she met him. And the sheer fact that she was doing a gender-bent version of his character was so fantastic as well, and he really got a kick out of that. You had a lot of people there from Doctor Who, but then it's a Comic-Con in the UK, so when are you not going to have somebody from Doctor Who?
Of course, right.
A few people there from Game of Thrones. 2 people there from Power Rangers. We had the second Red Ranger and I think the Green Mystic Force. I don't know, it's been a long time since I've had anything to do with the Power Rangers. But I knew that the second Red Ranger from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was there, so I knew him. Game of Thrones people, like I mentioned, and we had the 2 people from the Goonies were there.
Nice. I love the Goonies.
And one of those two people was Sean Astin.
Nice.
So I'll get to him in a second. So the first person I went up to was one of the girls from Game of Thrones. She was one of the Dawnish girls.
Yeah.
Who, if you've watched this show, you know they meet an untimely end. But then, when does a character from Game of Thrones not meet an untimely end? Unless they have really thick plot armor.
Yeah.
So, I knew her previous to her being on Game of Thrones. I knew her from a show called The Almighty Johnsons.
I love that show.
I met Gaia from that show. She was
Really?
the Dawnish girl from that show.
Oh, nice.
So I went up to her
Nice.
and I got her autograph, and I asked her about. I didn't care about Game of Thrones at that point. I was like, Psh, I don't care what you're currently doing. Let's talk about something you've done, you know? So I asked her about the show, The Almighty Johnson. I said, did you know that you were going to be a god? Or was it something that was just kind of like dropped on you at the last moment? And she's like, we didn't necessarily know who was going to be what god. We didn't get told when a new god was coming in. And even when we did, I got kind of sworn to secrecy about it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And I asked her about the relationship with the rest of the cast, and she's like, we all used to just like goof off when we weren't on, like, actually getting filmed kind of thing. I was like, that just sounds so great. And
That's awesome. Yeah.
she's like, the guy who plays Anders, he was so funny on set, and I was like, he's so funny on camera, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, right.
So as like I've kind of finished paying for her autograph, I stepped one side, and I had vines wrapping around my arm. So each every so often I'd have to stretch out the vine to keep them from getting tangled. And there was a guy there with her. Now, that guy could have been her brother, could have been her husband, could have been her boyfriend. I'm assuming it wasn't her brother, but let's say a handler of some kind instead of a brother. I'm going with possible boyfriend or husband because I stretched out my arm to like straighten out the vine. And I have to stretch it out in a weird way, so it's like I have to fix, grab, stretch.
Okay.
And he's walking behind me, and I almost smack him in the face. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, like, did I get you, did I hurt you? And he's like, no, I'm alright. All she could sit and do was laugh. You know, and I'm like, this poor person almost gets smacked in the face, and all you can do is laugh.
Nice.
So the Sean Astin one's slightly funnier. So I have this business card for iGame, which we're showing off there, which we will show again at the end of the interview, guys. And on iGame, we are currently doing, and were at the time also, a little tabletop session which is based in the world of The Lord of the Rings.
Right.
And when the guys knew that I was going to this Comic-Con and that Sean Astin was also going, they're like, oh, you've got to go and try and see him. And I'm like, well, I have 101 other things to do that day, but I will do my best. So,
Of course.
I go initially to see if he's there, and he's surrounded by people. And I thought, I'm not going to hassle him. I'm just going to let him be, whatever.
Yeah.
So towards the end of the day, I go back, and he's there signing autographs for the next day. So I approach, and a security guy stops me. He says, I'm sorry, Mr. Astin is done for the day. You'll have to come back tomorrow. I'm really, really sorry. And I'm like, look, I don't want to get an autograph. I just want to hand him this business card. I respect that he's tired. He's been here for 7 hours plus. I've been here for 7 hours plus. I just personally want to go home and get something to eat.
Yep.
You know, I just want to hand him this business card. And he's like, nope, sorry, you'll have to come back tomorrow. And I'm like, look, I'm only here for one day. Can I give you the business card and you can give it to him? And he's like, no, I can't do that. And he was being really difficult.
Yeah.
Obviously, this causes somewhat of a commotion. Not that I was screaming anything, I was just like, dude, I'm tired, I just want to give him this card and go home.
Yeah.
So Sean obviously overhears this and he sees it and he's like, come over.
Yeah.
So I can like walk over and smug look on my face as I pass the security guy. Like, yeah. And Sean's kind of like, so what's your story then? Goes back to signing autographs, you know, it's like, sign. And I looked down at myself and kind of like, I totally spaced on the fact that I'm still in costume at this point. How on earth I'd spaced on that, because I was absolutely freezing, I don't know. So I looked down at myself and just looked back at him and say, well, I'm what happens when Poison Ivy has a one-night stand. He lost it. He was laughing his ass off, and I said, look, in all seriousness, I just came here to give you this business card until I told him a little bit about the site and the fact that we were doing an online tabletop session based in the world of Lord of the Rings, and how it would mean something to the guys if he took a look. And as he's doing this, he pulls over a picture of himself dressed as Sam and signs it. And he hands it to me, and I'm like fumbling around, like calling my cousin over, saying, I need to pay him. And he's like, no, just take it.
Nice.
You know, so I got a free autograph.
I love when stuff like that happens.
It was, and I think what a big contributing factor to that was the fact that I was able to make him laugh. You know, just by saying, well, Poison Ivy equals one night stand equals me.
That's nice. That's cool.
It's always a good idea to try and make celebrities laugh, guys. I mean, they are normal people like us. You know, the only difference is they have a very high-paying job and appear on movies and TV.
Yeah. Still regular people.
Yeah. Otherwise, they put their pants on the same way we do in the morning, one leg at a time.
Yeah. It's true.
Or if they're women, they might put on dresses, which I think is a wraparound or 2 legs at a time. I don't know.
Whatever.
So, my next question for you is, obviously at these particular events that we go to, the various Comic-Cons, there are what is called cosplay competitions over in the US, and I'm assuming Canada as well.
Cosplay competitions, but they also are called masquerades.
That's
sometimes.
What they're called over here in the UK. They're specifically and exclusively called cosplay masquerades.
Okay.
So, when you've been going to these events, have you taken part in either solo cosplay competitions / masquerades or group ones? And when you've taken part in these, did you personally or as a group win anything? And if so, what was running through your head when they called your name?
I actually haven't been a part of a masquerade yet. I am planning on doing it this year, though. Will be either entering my red Nightwing suit or my Scorpion suit that I'm making. But I have been wanting to do it for a little while, and I guess hypothetically, if I could answer that question about like what's going through my head beforehand, it would definitely be just going over the act that I'm putting on, like going over the steps, going over the motions, the movements, and everything like that. The cues, like where the music, if there's music, where am I going to be at that point in the song, or where should I be? In terms of like being in a group, it would be much the same. Like where should each person be in relation to where I am in relation to that point in the song or that point in the story that we're telling, you know? But yeah, no, I would really like to join one this year. So hopefully if we do an interview again, I'll be able to answer that question better.
Well, we will wish you the very, very best of luck on that particular one. On the flip side to that particular question, have you ever actually been asked to judge any cosplay competitions? And if so, what was that like?
No, I have not been asked to be a judge, so I can't answer that one.
Is that something that you would like to do maybe in the future?
If I was more rounded in cosplaying and making costumes and armoring and props and stuff like that, yeah, because then I would have a bit more of an insight to be able to judge that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well, we never know. I mean, the future holds many different things, and a lot of it we're not privy to that information, unfortunately. Okay, so my next question for you, in your opinion, what are 3 of the best things that a new cosplayer can do when they're getting ready to go to a cosplay event like Comic-Con, and 3 of the worst things? So these can be from your own personal experience or just other people's experiences that you know of.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with 3 of the worst things that a new cosplayer can do when they're getting ready to go to an event.
Certainly not knowing like the rules. So like, don't touch people's cosplay. Like if it's something really cool and looks really like intricate and stuff, don't just run up and be like, oh my god, this is really cool. Or, just run up and be like, stand beside somebody and like snag a picture or something, like be polite. Number 2 would probably be patient, or don't be impatient, because you're gonna get your turn eventually. We're all there for the same reason. Just chill out, hang out, maybe strike a conversation with whoever you're with. 3. I guess, would have to be, don't tear people down.
Awesome.
Don't be an ass.
Yeah. And 3 of the best things that a new cosplayer can do when they're getting ready to go to an event.
3 of the best things that they could do is definitely, be open to meeting new people. Be helpful. If somebody needs some help, don't be afraid to don't be afraid to be like, hey, I can help. How can I help? Or, don't be afraid to talk to people as well. Be confident. You're there in costume. You look great. Your costume looks great. Everyone else's costume is great. Just be there to have fun. And definitely remember that cosplay is a compound word. It's costume and play. We're all there to have fun. It's not a competition unless you're in a competition, and just have fun.
Awesome. So let's move on to my next little kind of category question here, which is age differences. Now, when I first started, when I first knew that I was going to my very first Comic-Con, I did a lot of research.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure what to expect, and I wanted to go in at least, if not fully prepared, halfway.
Yeah.
So I started researching cosplaying a little bit more in depth, and everything I was getting was coming from the United States and Canada. Mm-hmm. And anything I saw in relation to costumes or cosplay, there seemed to be a very specific theme, which was early to mid-teens to mid-30s. And I was like, that's a very interesting age gap. Now, obviously, I've seen, like, family cosplays together, but they didn't feel like cosplays to me. They felt like mum, dad, children, in costume, picture taken inside their house, off to costume party. It felt more fancy dressed than it did cosplay.
Right.
So when I specifically started searching more on the cosplay route, the age group that I said, the early to mid-teens to mid-30s, was the predominant one. And I thought, this is fantastic because I fit that age group.
Right.
So I can go to somebody at a Comic-Con and go, comic books? And have them say, comic books. And I can be like, comic books. So it's like a general interest that is shared.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't feel out of the age range, I would be like, comfortable.
Right.
However, when I went to Comic-Con, I was so surprised to see there was such a wide range of age groups. There was babies who were only a few months old, and grannies and granddads who, for lack of a better term, 1 foot in the grave.
Yeah.
So many different age groups, and that just blew my mind for expectation in that regard. Did you have a similar thought process when you first started in cosplay, or did you know, did you go in without any preconceived notions about what kind of age groups you were going to encounter?
I treated it a lot like going to like a concert or like a metal festival or something like that, because you're just going, like, I found that going to a metal festival that there were so many different, again, age groups. Like, there were parents there with like their younger kids, and there were older generations of people, and like it just it did surprise me still a little bit, because I didn't really think how far back like comic books and stuff like really go. And but I was also really relieved about it too, because like there are so many different points of experience that people have that you can talk to and get tips or stories from. Like I know for me personally, like within my core group of cosplay friends, like we are also varying ages. We range from I think my youngest cosplay friend is like 19, 20, or no, actually like probably more like 17. And my oldest, the oldest person I know that I'm friends with that cosplays is 43. He actually just had his birthday not too long ago. So yeah, like it's a very wide range, and it's cool feeling to know that there are so many people out there that are from different walks of life and different age groups that like the same thing and have common ground and stuff.
Now, let's head into another kind of interesting area here for cosplay. Do you tend to cosplay characters that you either get a reaction from a specific age group, or do you just cosplay the character because you like that particular character?
I typically pick characters that I have a connection with, whether it be personal or emotional or physical or whatever. That being said, I also have plans to make cosplays of characters that are also very much out of my element. So I don't try to lock myself into just one archetype too much.
Do you tend to cosplay characters that are very close to your age range, or do you not let the age of a character stop you?
I haven't done any characters yet that are like much older than me or much younger than me, but like again, I also have plans coming up for this year that are that will probably change that. So yeah. So
in that sense, you're not going to let the age of a character stop you?
No, like I would cosplay Vulture from Spider-Man just as soon as I would cosplay Robin. Okay. Like I would just as easily cosplay someone that's well into their like late 60s and 70s as easily as I would just going into their teens, So
do you find it easier to cosplay characters that are closer to your own age, or is that not really an issue?
I never really felt it was an issue.
Okay. Have you ever cosplayed a particular character that got an amazing reaction from fandoms that you weren't necessarily expecting? Like, for instance, you've cosplayed as Dante from Devil May Cry. Like,
Yes.
did
Oh,
that get
okay,
more
yeah.
of a reaction from the fans of that particular game over any like another cosplay, like say
Mm.
your classic Nightwing? You know, like did Dante get a bigger reaction than Nightwing, or did Nightwing get a bigger reaction than him? And if so, what was
Um,
that like?
I definitely I feel like my first Nightwing suit, the red suit, and my Dante got more or less the same reaction, at least coming back, just because uh, I look very much like those characters and I know how to portray those characters really well. So I think they kind of got the same reaction, more or less. In terms of like the costume itself, I feel like Nightwing had more of a reaction because it was handmade and like it's very detailed and there's different little things here and there that make it really nice. And then whereas like the Dante one was bought online and wasn't exactly what Dante's jacket looked like, but it was close enough. And but I got a good reaction from both of them, so I was pretty happy with it.
Which particular costume have you done? Has it gotten a reaction from an age group that you weren't specifically expecting it to like get that reaction from an age group? Because, and I'll explain what I mean here. When I did L from Death Note, I was kind of saying, okay, there's got to be a very specific age group that will get it and understand who I am. And I was really, really shocked after performing on stage as L that two young girls who could not have been more than 12 years old
Yeah.
understood who I was and
Right.
wanted a picture with me. So I was really shocked about that. Have you ever had a similar experience where you've cosplayed a character that you know would only make sense to maybe a little bit of an older age group, but it actually resonated more so with a younger age group?
Um. Well, I mean, I don't actually know what that's like because, like, I get a pretty good range of young to old reactions on my cosplays. But I would have to say, like, a scenario kind of like that would be when I was doing X-Force Deadpool, the gray version of his suit. It took a very long time for anyone really to recognize me because I guess X-Force wasn't that popular back then or something. But like, I do remember this one point where I was walking through the convention and this middle-aged guy came up to me and he's like, dude, your X-Force is really good. And he was like the first one to like just get it like right away. And I was just like, oh, thanks, man. Like that, it made me feel a lot better because it's like, okay, I'm not just some gray and black guy with a bunch of weapons, like someone's like, okay, this is actually Deadpool. He's just a different version. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, that's really the only experience kind of like that I have.
Awesome. So my next question for age differences is, do you feel there's an age that people should stop when it comes to cosplay, or do you think, the hell with it, cosplay until you basically keel over dead?
I definitely don't care. I'm gonna cosplay till until I die in the grave. If I have my way, I will be buried in my Nightwing suit. So.
Alrighty, so moving on from age groups and cosplay to the one thing that all cosplayers both love and hate at the same time. Our props.
Props?
Yes. We love them. We love to hate them. We hate them, and we hate to love them. So props fall into a number of categories. There is, it goes to a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
It goes to a photo shoot only.
Yeah.
And then 3 subcategories of, holy crap, this prop is so large it would break my back if I attempt to lift it, and I don't know how the hell I'm going to get it out of my house. To, This prop is mediumly large, it doesn't break my back, I can get it out of my house, I can even transport it, but it will annoy me after 7 hours. And lastly, oh, this prop is so nice and small, it goes in my pocket and I'm good to go. Now, all props depend on what cosplay you're actually doing. But when you're going to a Comic-Con or a photo shoot, which out of those 3 props are you more inclined to take with you? Like the 3 sizes, the really large, the medium, the small.
For me, I usually try to get as many of my props with me to whatever I'm going to as I can. It also depends on like the suit itself. So like my Nightwing suit, both my Nightwing suits don't have pockets on them, right? And I prefer not to wear a utility belt because it's, you know, his suit's supposed to be more streamlined. But I always bring my excrement sticks for either of them. I will always try to bring at least one Batarang or Wingding. But in terms of like other stuff, so like my Punisher costume, it's really helpful because I get to wear the utility belt and the gun harnesses and all that stuff. So like I don't have to physically carry my props all the time. So, but if I had to rank it, small and medium props for cons and photo shoots, and then like big ones for photo shoots as well, but also like videos and stuff like that.
When it actually comes to props, do you A, make your own from scratch, B, buy them in and customize them, or C, buy them in ready-made, or all of the above?
It's definitely more A and B for me. If I can, I will always try to make the prop. If I can't, I will always buy what I need and alter it to fit what my needs. But I definitely try to steer away from just the right out buying it as it is, as you need it, because it does it kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit for me.
When it comes to creating a prop from scratch, and I know that you've got a few there, do you have a particular creation process that you go through?
It's kind of like seeing what I have to start with and then picturing in my head what I would have to do to make it look the way I need it to. Like the first excrement sticks that I made for my red suit were literally just a wooden dowel with red and black electrical tape. That's literally all it was. So when I did the blue versions, I took a wooden dowel, painted it, sanded it, and then used Warbler foam and foam around the one end to make the electrode that sends out the static shocks for his things, and then painted it blue and black. Sorry. And yeah. Are
any of those ones the ones that you've got with you right now? Because I know I've noticed you kind of twirling them about.
I can show you. So there's the blue one on the left and the red one on the right, and you can tell that the red one is just, there's no definition or anything to it. It's just tape, whereas the other one you can see there's like shape to it.
So on average, how long did those take you to make?
On the two of them, doing it both ways took about the red ones took about 5 minutes each, and the blue ones took a little bit longer because you gotta wait for the foam to cool down and adhere and all that other stuff. So I'd say the blue ones took about 15 to 20 minutes each, and then the reds were just quick, just tape them up.
Now, given the recent restrictions that we've had on props recently due to various things that have happened at Comic-Cons both here and in the United States, are your Eskrima sticks still con-friendly, or are you in the process of making new ones?
They have been deemed con-friendly still. The red ones will probably be rejected before the blue ones are, just because they're a little bit harder wooden material than the blue ones. So yeah, but when that does happen, I will be making new ones out of probably more or less more foam than wood, so that they're not so hard and damaging.
So let's talk about your creation process when making them. Did you, because I have a very strange creation process. When I'm making a prop, I end up possibly talking to said prop. Like, it could answer me back. Do you have a similar process of creation, or do you kind of realize, hey, this is an inanimate object and there's no point getting frustrated with it?
Well, generally, I start playing. Wherever I'm doing my work, I'll start playing music, whether it's through the speaker or through my headphones, and it's usually like rock and roll or heavy metal or something like that, something to get me excited. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I do talk to the prop when it's not doing the thing that I want it to do. Like if, like for instance, when I was doing the blue one, you're not alone. You're not alone. So yeah, when I was like laying down the foam and stuff, if it would like start sliding to the side or like up or down or something, I'd be like, no, that's not where you go. No. And I'll start talking to it. And my friend will look at me like I'm crazy, and I'd be like, shut up, man, you know it's true.
Have you ever gone as far as using adult language on your prop? Specifically an F-bomb or two.
Sometimes I'll call it names.
Good,
just
because the prop I'm about to show you, I definitely dropped maybe 100 or 200 F-bombs on it. So when I was redoing my Harley Quinn Suicide Squad look, which is the picture I showed you guys, I needed a prop or two that I could carry with me, because I couldn't be bothered to take my mallet. My mallet is just annoying, to say the least. And I did get 2 guns, which I painted blue and black. Well, black and red. But even though the orange tip to it was very prominent, I didn't feel right about carrying them about. I just didn't want to risk it. Yeah. So, in addition to that, I made another prop, which is something very typical of Harley Quinn. You know, so here it is right here. It's my little Jack-in-the-Box.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
This little guy drove me insane. So slipping into Harley Quinn shoes was not a problem. But it's all con-friendly. It's all, the box itself is cardboard, styrofoam, fabric. There's personally nothing on this prop, with the exception of the hat pins holding in his button eye, that could physically hurt anyone.
Yeah.
You know, nothing whatsoever. So this is completely con-friendly. It took me forever to do it. And for the fabric around his head is what really drove me mad, because I was spending forever trying to work out how it was going to actually sit. It's been glued, it's been stitched, and people love this prop. It's the first time when I had this prop. And it's practical as well, because I can, like, if I spin it around to the back here, it's actually a little openable door that I've kind of kept on it. That when I'm not using Jack's head, I can put him in the inside.
Oh, that's perfect.
And it's also a great place for storing business cards. And my cell phone. Or my wallet. So anything I want to just literally put in here and I can't be bothered to put it in a pocket, I can put it in here.
Nice.
But it took me forever to get this working correctly, and I'm really, really proud of it, and it has pride of place on my bookcase behind me. Yeah. But people love this prop, and it constantly makes me want to try and do Harley again, and I'm like, should I? Because I want to retire that character and do other characters, you know? Yeah. But love this little guy. Pain in the ass, drove me mad, dropped a few F-bombs on him, but he's here. Well done, Jack.
As long as he's still around.
He's still around. So yes, my next question for you is, and we're getting very close to the end, guys, unfortunately. What opportunities has cosplay opened up for you away from being in costume or related to cosplay?
It's opened up a number of doors. I'm doing, going back to the Legionaries, we're planning on doing some charity work with the local zoo and like some hospitals and stuff. I also am part of annual cleanup, like city cleanup, with a number of my friends. I've also in the midst of starting a T-shirt line, like a comic book hero T-shirt line that will be available on Etsy whenever it's actually ready. It's opened a lot of doors from meeting a lot of great people and stuff, and I can't wait to start getting everything on the go and start doing things with them.
Well, we will be keeping an eye out for your Etsy when it comes along.
Thank you.
Hopefully, once that happens, you can send me the information, and I will put it in the description, guys. So if you're watching this way into the future, hi from the past. But jump into the the description of this video and click on the Etsy link. My next question for you is, what are your next 3 cosplays going to be? So somebody that you're going to be at your next event, somebody that you're working on that we might see mid 2018, which we're almost at the midpoint, so
yeah. Got a lot of work to do.
Mid 2018, and somebody who we might see late 2018, somebody who you're only thinking about that we might see late 2018, early 2019. So let's start with who you're going to be at your next event.
The next event I'm going to will be Fan Expo, at which point my lineup is going to be Mortal Kombat X Scorpion, hopefully Thor Ragnarok Loki.
Very nice.
Red X from the Teen Titans show. And
I still think you're Jason Todd.
And then
you know what that's from, guys? Put it in the comment section.
I have one more that I'm working on with a friend of mine, and I can't currently remember what it was.
Okay.
No, I can't remember.
That's
I
okay.
have to come back.
That's okay. That's perfectly fine. Who are you working on that we might see mid 2018?
Mid 2018 will definitely be the Ragnarok Loki. So that one will be started up or finished, and hopefully it'll be ready to present by the end of summer.
Okay. And lastly, who is a cosplay that you're thinking about that we might see late 2018 or early 2019?
He's this character from Marvel. I can't remember. He was in. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what the story arc was called, but the character's name is Wraith, and he only showed up for, I think, that series that he was in with the other characters, and then he just disappeared.
It's a nice obscure character then.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's going to be one of those that I'm going to have to do some research on how to portray properly. So
you're in a similar situation for me with Zack Satara. You're like, not an awful lot of material to go on, but
yeah.
Yep.
So it should be fun.
Okay, and lastly, before we get to the other things, I want to ask you, what advice would you give to somebody who is new to cosplay but doesn't know where to start?
Anywhere. Literally start anywhere. whether it be sketching out pieces for the outfit, or whether it be research on the character, or figuring out what fabrics you're going to need, or what tools, or this and that. Just literally start anywhere.
Awesome. So with that being said, guys, unfortunately that is the end of the interview. I'd like to take the time to thank the Dark Heir Cosplays for taking the time out and spending it with us.
Anytime.
If you have any questions for either myself or the Dark Heir, I think next to that description box, Dark Heir, do you see a comment section? It's like just down there.
It should be right there in the corner.
Hi, comment section. So do put in a question for either myself or Dark Heir, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up to let us know you enjoyed your time. Check out the other interviews on my channel, guys. We have multiple other interviews with many other people, and who knows what other interviews are coming in the future, so you might want to hit that subscribe button. But if for some strange reason you can't get enough of me, you can find me on this amazing website at igameonline.net. See it there? Where we also have a Facebook page and a YouTube channel. And on there you can catch up with me when I'm doing various tabletop sessions with the wonderful Fayaz, when we're doing Dragonlance live every Monday night, or within the MERP session, the Lord of the Rings role-playing online, Lord of the Rings tabletop role-playing session, where you can find out what Dylan Trask, Zabi, Theo and Estelle are all getting up to and what crazy adventures we're having. However, if you want to stick with cosplay stuff, you can find out what is happening with the wonderful Covey Kicks, Alphabet A, Little Rascal and Tunafel on our website under the cosplay section. However, if you want more from me, you can catch up with me on the cast and crew page, and you will have links there to not only my YouTube channel, my Twitch channel, my Facebook page and my Instagram. So do go check them out. But if you have further questions for the Dark Heir and you don't necessarily want to put them in the comments section, he's going to give us some wonderful links which will be in the description of this video alongside the Etsy when that goes live, as to where we can reach him if we have any further questions. So Dark Heir, where can we actually get a hold of you if we have any further questions?
Well, you can message me on my Instagram page, the Dark Heir Cosplay, in the PM section. Or you can, if you have a question about my t-shirt designs, you can message me at the Dark Heir Studio, also on Instagram. Or you can find me on Facebook at Dark Heir Cosplay. You can send me a message or, whatever. I'm always open to answer questions, and I'm always open to meet new people, so please feel free.
And when your Etsy store goes up online, we will get that linked into the video as well, and we can start buying amazing t-shirts from your good self. So with that being said, guys, do go along and support the Dark Heir as much as you possibly can. And if you happen to be in the Toronto area and you see him at an event, do go and say hello to him. I'm sure he'd invite.
Absolutely.
Much.
Not hard, anyways.
Anyway, guys, it has been a wonderful time, and we will catch you again on Inside Cosplay with another interview really soon. Bye, guys. Bye.